Community Chronicles Radio, brought to you weekly by Gannon University's Erie Technology Incubator, in partnership with the Corey Higher Education Council. We'll get that out. The Erie Technology Incubator, located at 900 State Street, works in the entrepreneurial ecosystem and provides technical assistance through the entrepreneurial process. This show features members of this ecosystem and the entrepreneurs in the Erie area. Welcome to Community Chronicles Radio. If you would like to give us a call and have a question for us or one of the guests, feel free, 814-679-1080. I am Dr. Matthew Plotz, and with me today, as always, is our awesome co-host, Steph Scroose. How are you, Steph?
Very awesome. How are you, Matt?
Doing well, doing well. So we're seeing Debbie passing through the area. Same thing down in Corey. Dreary,
Yes,
wet,
very dreary. Yeah.
very humid, bringing that southern air up.
Yes, the humidity is like killing me lately. I like just sitting here and I'm just sweating already. It's like, wow.
Yeah, riding over. It's only like 70 degrees, but it feels so much hotter with the humidity. So
Yeah, definitely.
we'll get through that and have a nice weekend, hopefully.
I will. Yep.
So we have a lot to get to today. Our first guest plays a large role in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. As the assistant professor at Gannon University in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, our guest, Kurt Hirsch, teaches entrepreneurship, strategy, creativity, and innovation. Welcome to the show, Kurt.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome, Kurt. Could we start off by having you tell us just a little bit about yourself and your entrepreneurial journey?
Sure. Well, first of all, I was born and raised in Erie. Go Trojans. And spent some time. I went to Penn State, got an undergrad degree in accounting, and I went to NYU, got an MBA in finance. But I spent probably half of my career in the corporate world, probably half of that in big companies like IBM and Hewlett-Packard and JP Morgan Chase, and the other half doing startups. And it was great. I did other people's startups, which were spectacular failures in every best way possible and worst way possible. And it's a mixed bag. And then I actually went off and did my own, which was called TrueLogica. It was a company that built enterprise class software in the security space, and we ended up actually selling it to companies like the DTC, which is it's a gigantic financial any stock, bond, asset that's moves between any financial organization goes through the DTCC back office. We went to Bank of America, we went to Citigroup, and eventually we were purchased by HP. And that was absolutely wonderful, learned a lot, and had the opportunity to move back to Erie, which is my hometown, which is my wife's adopted hometown. And then for the last half of my career, I've been teaching at Gannon University, where my specialty, as you said, is entrepreneurship, which is, and also creativity and innovation, which is really entrepreneurship, but just a different name. That's not quite as intimidating. And currently I sit on the board of the Erie Technology Incubator.
Okay, now with your experiences you've had over the years and with startups, is there anything that you would tell your startup self that you wished you would have known prior to venturing into this entrepreneurial world?
Yeah.
I could say that right?
Boy, I would probably tell myself a lot. So I think the first thing I'd probably say to myself is that I'd probably say that you can be an entrepreneur. It took me a while to figure that out. I was not a kid that, my story doesn't start that I was 8 years old, doing, selling papers, across the entire Erie County. So it was never something that I thought that I do. I always thought that actually when I first went to work, my first job out of college was with IBM. And I thought, geez, I'm going to have employment for life. No one's ever been laid off from IBM. And, 5 years later, 200,000 people were laid off at IBM. So it kind of started off in the big corporate world. And I think that's a good way for entrepreneurs to get some experience, to go get experience on big corporations. They do amazing training. I mean, that's what they're really good at because they've got a lot of resources. And you also get your feet wet and you also get an experience of so I would have told myself, hey, you can do it. And the second thing I would have told myself is, all the experiences that you have, whatever they are, will help build you into the person that you're becoming. So a very unlikely start would be going to work for IBM in corporate accounting, which is about as unentrpreneurial as you can get.
You're in a cubicle and
Yeah. And I'm managing, like a portfolio of 100 employee loans that probably totals $1 million, and a company that $100 million is a rounding error. So you get a small piece of a chunk of a piece of a sliver. And but what's nice about corporations is they allow you to fail. Because everybody fails, right? And when you're young, you fail a lot. And corporations allow you kind of be able to absorb that and be able to learn while you do it. So it's nice. So I would have said, hey, you can do it. Second thing I would have said is take advantage of the opportunities that you're in, no matter where you are, because everything is a learning experience. Like I said, I started in accounting. I'm not an accountant now. It's just not my personality, but I never regret having an undergrad in accounting. I'd never regret understanding numbers and that ability. It's been very helpful. And the second thing that I would have said to myself is, which I actually did, is that you have to view risk differently. So a lot of people think, a lot of people will say that entrepreneurs are risk takers, and I don't know if I think they are, but I think they're more risk mitigators. So actually, when I left. When I came back to Erie to Gannon University, and we were thinking about starting up an entrepreneurship program, I visited some of the successful serial entrepreneurs I knew back in Texas. And I remember having lunch with this one gentleman who was a serial entrepreneur, and I said, hey, what do you think? Everybody says that entrepreneurs are risk takers. And he goes, I don't think so. He goes, I think that we actually are. He goes, he defined risk differently. He said, here's risky. Risky is you work for a gigantic company, and you work there for 20 years. And you don't have 20 years of experience. You've got 1 year of experience 20 times over. And then someone in some division in some part of the world that you've never been and you've never known and you've never seen, and the company makes a huge risk that doesn't pay off. And then 30,000 people lose their jobs. And you have no control over that. So he said, that's what risk is to me. And I thought, wow, what a wonderful statement. That for him, being an entrepreneur was about reducing risk and mitigating risk, because he felt that if he was going to be successful, it was going to be on his terms. And if he was going to fail, it would be because of what he did.
Right. You control the future instead of being a victim to it.
It's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting story. It wasn't a huge corporation, but I worked for a university here in town, and 17 years.
Yeah.
Doing 1 year 17 times, and then got let go. And so that control, that is a good way of looking at it if you are an entrepreneur, that you can control how things go if you start your own business.
Well, and you've probably heard this, that when they do studies and they say, why do you, they ask entrepreneurs, why did you start? Why do you like being an entrepreneur? I think most people that maybe aren't entrepreneurs, they may say, well, it's because of the money. You're chasing financial goals. And actually, when you see the research, money's like fifth. Number one is I can't work for anybody else.
Yeah, I got
that. And it's not necessarily, it can be a negative thing. Like my boss is really making decisions that I don't agree with, and it just doesn't make sense to me, so I'm going to go do it myself. But I think it's also just from it doesn't have to be negative. It can be a very positive thing where you go, hey, I want to make the decisions. I want to be able to have that control, to be able to kind of live or die, which in entrepreneurial world, it's more binary. It's kind of black and white. There's not a lot of gray in between. Yeah, but I think it's an excellent word, control.
Right. Yeah, I understand that completely. I don't do well being micromanaged, so
yeah,
I understand that.
Now, the one thing I would say though is you always have bosses, and now as an entrepreneur, your bosses are your customers, right? And they're the best bosses, because they're the ultimate arbiter of your success or failure. So a big part of being an entrepreneur, and something that we teach at Gannon, and something that is definitely mentored and taught at ETI, at the Erie Technology Incubator, is this sense of control, is this sense of grasping opportunities, is this sense of having the right resources around you to be successful.
And what's the biggest thing that you tell entrepreneurs or people that we have you meet with if they think they have a great idea and they're going to go ahead? What do you always tell them?
Well, so it came from
two things.
Yeah, it came from one. So when as I said, I worked in my entrepreneurial phase of my career. I did other people's. I was part of teams of other people's startups. Another great way to learn. Until eventually starting a company with two of my colleagues from my J.P. Morgan Chase days. So what I tell people is I say, do you think you've got a good solution? And they're like, oh yeah, it's the best solution. And so actually, sometimes they'll ask me, hey, do you think this is a good idea? And the first thing I tell anybody when we're talking about being an entrepreneur is I'll tell you right up front, I have no idea if it's a good idea. And they're like, oh, okay. And then I say, here's the real twist. Neither do you. And they're like, what? I'm like, no, it's a great idea. I said, well, you have to feel that way. You have to drink the Kool-Aid. Right. Like if you don't believe in yourself and your idea, it will never go forward because you'll get 1,000 no's before you get a yes. But what I tell them is I said, I don't know if it's a good idea. You don't know if it's a good idea. I say the only people that know if it's a good idea or not are your customers. So one of the things that when I did my own company and we got venture capital financing and they said, hey, you guys need adult supervision. Yeah. Right? It was kind of funny because I was 31 and my co-founder was 30, another co-founder was 34, and we thought we were pretty old and experienced. But when they said, yeah, we're going to give you this money, but you need adult supervision, brought in a CEO, and he said to us, your customer will tell you everything you need to know as long as you listen. And it's one of the finest pieces of advice I've ever heard. It's so succinct. So what I say to them is I don't know if it's a good idea. You don't know if it's a good idea. Your customers will tell you if it's a good idea. And you have to go ask them. Because a lot of times what entrepreneurs will do is they'll get the entrepreneurial blinders on.
Yes. Yeah.
And they get focused and they're like, like if it was me, my background is accounting. So I might go, oh, let me spend all my time in an Excel spreadsheet, spinning tales of financial success in the future. And look at this beautiful spreadsheet and it's just gorgeous. And, someone comes and looks at it and says, okay, great. What do your customers think about your idea? If you're a coder, you're going to get down, you're just going to code. If you're a graphic developer, but you can't get sucked into doing what's comfortable. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable and reaching out to customers, having conversations with customers and listening to them can be uncomfortable, but it's the way to go forward. Yeah. So
exactly.
and the second thing that we tell entrepreneurs, it's my favorite expression. I say, yeah, sorry. Kathy just helped me on that. I just forgot my favorite. Quote of all time.
It should be a T-shirt for you, Kurt.
It's listen to everyone, follow no one. And I think it's a big part of actually what the ETI does is you need to listen to everyone. You need to go out and you need to ask. You need to ask friends and family, but you need to go ask customers that are strangers. You need to ask mentors and if you don't know about financial things, you got to go talk to someone who does. You got to go find someone who does. And I think one of the things that the ETI does absolutely fantastically is they connect people that have a gap with resources that help fill that gap. So you need to go listen to everyone, but you have to follow no one. You have to be really good at taking information, being a voracious consumer of reading and listening and data and videos and opinions, and then you need to parse what pieces that work for you and what pieces that don't.
Right. And I think it's important to listen to that broad amount of people to, add to what you already know. I see so often where somebody has this idea, oh, I want to sell magic cards and I'm going to open brick and mortar, which is dangerous. And you have your 8, 9, 10 friends. Oh yeah, we love that game. We play all the time. Yeah. That's just your 8, 9, 10 friends. That doesn't mean that there's a huge market in the space that you put your store. And you see something like that happen quite a bit where they're very attached to their idea and they love it.
Yes.
But not everybody does.
And I think that's a really good point, Matthew, because you got to be careful who you get information from. Because if you ask your friends and your family,
they love you.
Yeah, for the most part, they're like, oh, you can do it. And you need to hear that. And then you got that crazy uncle that's never liked you, and you know, and he's like, "You'll never do it," you know, and you can't listen to that either.
Terrible.
Yeah, your family's always been a failure. You are too, but you can't listen to that. I mean, you do. You listen to it, but you gotta go out and you gotta go talk to your actual customers. So in that example, you know, you love magic, and you're gonna have this store. You know, go talk to people. You know, go talk to strangers. Strangers will tell you how they feel. You know, I lived in New York for 10 years, and you know, the one thing I love about New York City is that they will tell you, like, you know exactly where you stand because they will tell you. And the thing is that exists everywhere. Now here in Erie, we're a lot more friendly, which is nice, and a lot more neighborly. But if you actually go, if I said to you, Matthew, if I said, hey, listen, do you have 5 minutes to talk about this idea? And if I only ask you for 5 minutes, you're probably going to say, if I say, do you have 2 hours? You're going to be like, oh boy, let me check my schedule.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, I got 5 minutes, let me ask you a question about this. What do you think about this? And my favorite feedback is once you give someone your idea, you ask them 3 questions. I say, Matthew, finish this sentence. I like, and then you go, well, I like that it's about, you know, magic. I like that there's a community that's already built in. And then I'll say, now finish this sentence. I wish. And you're like, I wish it wasn't tied to a brick and mortar store because there's some risk.
Right.
Yeah. And then the final question is, finish this sentence. What if? And you're like, what if you created you know, a channel online that, and so I like is obviously what are the pros, and I wish is a nice way to get the cons, and then, you know, what if is a great way to help your customer help take your idea to a level that you never thought of.
So much information.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I could listen to you forever, Kurt.
Yeah, I appreciate what we try to do on this show is to just let people know that there are supports. First of all, there's lots of supports here in Erie. But if you have an idea, if you're thinking about doing something, don't be afraid to bring it forward and have some discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Matthew, just that. Let's just hit on that just strong. There are lots of supports here in Erie. You know, I came back to Erie a little less than 20 years ago, and the entrepreneurial ecosystem was not anywhere near where it is today. And I think the entrepreneurial ecosystem has changed dramatically and become much more supportive of entrepreneurs, which is fantastic. But the thing that's unfortunate is I don't believe many people know about that.
Right, absolutely.
You know, and again, I'm a board member of the Erie Technology Incubator, so I'm going to stay with ETI. You know, there's a organization at 900 State Street on 9th and State, right, where you can come in with an idea. Yeah, you may have customers. Yeah, listen, you may have revenue and customers. Excellent, come on in. Right, you may not have any revenue, but maybe some beta. Come on in.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you may have an idea and a little bit of a business plan.
Yep.
But you're not quite sure. Come in.
Right.
Right, because what the ETI can do is the ETI can connect you into the entrepreneurial ecosystem, which is more than just the ETI.
Right.
There are funding sources, and they can give you introductions to intellectual property lawyers and accountants that are really good with entrepreneurs because they have the experience, and they can hook you into a mentoring system. So the thing is as an entrepreneur, if you're an entrepreneur, it can be very lonely, especially in the beginning. You know, it's energetic, you know, and even if there's 2 or 3 of you, it's just the 2 or 3 of you, and you're just putting on different hats. It's nice to have someone who is a little bit outside of those blinders that are like a Kathy Roach, you know, are like a Brad Gleason, who actually care about you as a human being and want to help you on your journey. It just makes the journey easier. And also, you come into ETI, and you get a space. You don't have to worry about buying furniture. You don't have to worry about internet connectivity. You don't have to worry about if the phones work. It's all plug and play. Those opportunities exist in Erie to help incubate you. Now, I mean, if we think about an incubator, there's a little egg. It's super fragile.
Right.
We got to protect it. We got to keep it warm. We got to let it, and then it hatches. And you let it grow, and then eventually, actually, ETI had a company that kind of graduated.
Yep,
Very successful
did.
company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Boho Basement and Mia D'Amato. She, outgrew her space and she needed to be in a larger space. She knew exactly what she wanted and she took the leap of faith. And it was, it was painful for her, but she knew that she needed to grow and she moved to Pittsburgh and because her business blew up here.
Yeah.
She has to hire sewers and she's rocking it and she's what, 23, 24?
But that's the intention.
Yeah.
Is to help the company get in the most
Yes.
insecure, precious time when there's the highest risk. You want as much help and assistance as you can get to be successful. And there are lots of organizations in your area that do that.
Even to the extent that they can help you round out your idea.
Yeah.
I always say this, Brad and I, we talk offline, not on the radio, and different times. I had this little idea, and I ran it past him. What do you think? And then he added to it.
Yeah.
And it was like, that is brilliant.
Right.
And that just having that conversation is something else.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of times when I talk to an entrepreneur, they say, well, I've got an idea. And I go, okay, well, you want to tell me about it? And they're like, yeah, I don't really want to tell you about it. And I'm like, oh, boy, if you can't tell me about it, then you can't get help.
Right.
And to me, there are certain things that entrepreneurs that are big red flags to me. One of them is I don't really want to share. I go, if you can't share, you can't grow your business.
That's probably just the fear of the idea that, okay, you think this thing is awesome.
Yeah.
But if you take it out and bring it forward, somebody might say, that is terrible. Why are you doing that? And that's a direct hit on you personally because you've put so much time and thought into it.
Yeah.
And that's the fear, but I don't think that would necessarily be, well, let's check and see if this would be a great idea. There's ways to do that.
I think that's absolutely true. I think it's interesting because I think there's a fear on the other end of the spectrum too, which is if I tell you my idea, someone's going to steal it.
Yep.
And I always say, man, if you can tell, if only by telling your idea someone can steal it, that's probably not the right idea you want to go forward with, because it means you can't defend it. You've got no competitive advantage.
Right.
You don't have a patent. You don't have a copyright. You don't have you don't have a secret sauce probably.
Right.
And that's not a good signal.
No, and the ETI and the Beehive, all that, everything collectively, they can check and see if your idea's out there. There might be somebody doing it in St. Louis. You don't know that,
right?
And they're doing it very well, and it worked, and it's awesome, and that is a good thing to hear. Well, maybe I can make this work in Erie.
I tell you what, we talked about things that entrepreneurs say that sometimes kind of put up a little bit of a red flag. You just hit on the second one, probably the biggest one for me, which is when an entrepreneur says, I got a great idea. I go, okay, great. And they tell me about it. And I go, the best part of it is no one else is doing it. And I go, oh, you had me until then.
Oh, yep.
Right? Because, if no one else is, there's millions of smart people in the world.
Right.
And if it was a good idea, people would be doing it. So if you say to me, there's no one doing it, it's one of two things. One, there are people doing it and you don't know about it, which if I was an investor would not be a happy sign for me. And the second one is that actually no one is doing it because they can't make money. The best answer you could ever get is you say, hey, is anybody doing it? And you go, yeah, millions of people. Okay, cool. And what's the biggest share someone has? Oh, less than 1%. That means there's a lot of demand in the market, but no one has figured out the right solution to roll up all of that demand.
Well, this was a quick half hour.
It was so quick.
I want to thank Kurt Hirsch, Kathy Roach, and Brad Gleason, who's on the call here. Thank you for coming in and sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, Steph.
Sure.
All right. Go ahead, Brad, or you want to chime in?
No, I just said thanks, Kurt, for being on the show.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, after the news break, we'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit about what the Corey Hayet is doing, so stick around. Welcome back to Community Chronicles Radio, brought to you weekly by Gannon University's Erie Technology Incubator, in partnership with the Corey Higher Education Council. The Erie Technology Incubator, located at 900 State Street, works in the entrepreneurial ecosystem and provides technical assistance through the entrepreneurial process. This show features members of this ecosystem and the entrepreneurs in the Erie area. So, for the second half of the show today, we are going to try something a little different than what you have heard before. Typically, we bring in a second guest and talk a few minutes at the end of the show about the upcoming things at the high ed. Today, I'd like to take the deep dive into our programs. Kara Dahl has gotten the fall catalog together along with Steph, and the 2024 fall catalog is almost out. I think it's arriving today from what I read in my email.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'd like to introduce to the show Kara Dahl, our program coordinator at the High Ed. The team of Steph and Kara really have become the dynamic duo of programming and marketing and have brought it all together. Welcome to the show, Kara.
Thanks, Matt and Steph.
Good morning, Kara.
Good morning.
So
I didn't realize the catalog was coming today. That's so exciting.
I think something is showing up. I got an email notification that there is a package on the way. So I'm not sure what else is out there. Maybe the big check. We're waiting on the big check.
Oh, yeah, the big check, too. But the catalog would be exciting to get that early. So, yeah.
Yeah. All of the classes in the catalog have already been posted, and you can register on our website just hitting that little register button. But you know, we want to talk a little bit about what Kara has put together and the exciting things going on. And Kathy's stayed here because she is interested in one of the classes.
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Awesome. Glad you stayed on, Kathy, so we could talk about all this.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I think this catalog, our fall 2024 catalog, really has something for everyone. We have tons of classes for our businesses and manufacturers, as well as our recreational classes and hobby classes. I've really tried to have a balance of all types of different classes, and sometimes that means taking a risk and seeing if a class will take off or not, and so it can be a learning experience. But I'm really excited for the fall offerings, and I think that means everybody else should be too.
Yes, Kara has kept me busy. She had all the classes prepared, and I was like, whoa, and then she sent in my way, and I'm like, so the past week or 2 weeks, I've been busy putting the catalog together, but I was so impressed with all the classes that you have on this catalog. It's more than we've had in a long time, so.
And Steph, you do like a graphic for every class, so it was it was.
Yeah, that makes it fun. I really enjoy it. But like I said, trying to get the catalog together, and then I finally, once you get it together, and then I take like we both have been able to take kind of like a deep breath and go, there, we're ready. All the classes she got ready on the internet, and so they're ready to be registered for, and then we'll actually have the paper copy that people can pick up at the High Ed. And hopefully, like I said, we've got Erie Gives coming up Tuesday, and we'll have that catalog for you if you stop by. At least I'm saying, I hope it comes in time, but it should. So.
Hopefully, that's what's in the mail. So
yes. You
could hear the enthusiasm that Kara had for the process and putting all of this together. So why don't we dive in a little bit, and I'll start with Kara. Tell us which one is your favorite. There's a lot here, but tell us, what's your favorite? What are you excited about coming up?
Well, my personal favorite, hate to have favorites, but selfishly out of a personal interest, I am so stoked to offer a paranormal education class that we're going to be having in October. It's October 9th, and it'll be here at the High Ed. And Jamestown paranormal investigators are coming over to talk to us about the process of paranormal investigation. Everything from what does that start like? You heard something, I think Kathy was talking about, that she was in a house and there was a sound or a noise or something along those lines. Starting from the basics down to the machines that they use, the instruments that they use. to detect and to investigate, all through even talking to, if you want to become an investigator, what do your customer conversations or client conversations look like? And I think that having them at the high ed too, there may be some things over here that they could use their instruments to detect.
If the assistant director Kat's on the line, she will insist. If she's listening, she will insist that there are no ghosts in the Corey Higher Education building.
Well, both
Right,
Tom and I have
exactly.
the EMF meters that we got, and we had them earlier. We were like going around when things were going a little weird in Kara's office. We were like taking our meters in there and looking to see what was going on.
Yeah, something turned your fan on, right? It was just running for no reason.
Yeah, I came into my office and I looked up, and it was maybe February, so there was no need to have a fan on. I came into my office and my fan was on a medium level, and we couldn't find the remote for it either, so I thought that was quite interesting. So it kind of made me think a little bit. So that's the class that I think I'm most excited about. But just some other classes that we'll be offering that I think in recent times we've had some inquiries about foreign language classes, specifically about American Sign Language, and offering a class. And I was lucky to find an organization that had an available instructor. So we will be offering an 8-week American Sign Language course. And I think this is going to be a great course for beginners and learning the basics of beginning sign language and about the deaf community. It's really, honestly, it's a great deal. It's a 2-hour class for once a week for 8 weeks, and it's $100. So I think that I'm so happy to be able to listen to the community and offer the class when we've had inquiries about that. I'm hoping to offer more foreign language classes in the future, but I'm so happy to be able to bring sign language to the catalog, to the community.
One of the things you mentioned there is just the value of the classes and the costs. You talk about Jamestown Paranormal Investigators. That one is going to fill up fast. We're already seeing a lot of interest when people are finding it. But what was that, $10 for that one?
Right. It's $10 for an experience that you may not get anywhere else.
Right.
Being able to actually see the instruments and walk through the process of paranormal investigation from the pros, where are you going to get that anywhere else? I think that it's just an invaluable experience. Maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's something that you take very seriously, but I think that that's the benefit of coming in for $10. I think it's just a steal.
Yeah, I'm already registered for that class. I'm excited about that one.
A lot of employees have registered.
Definitely. We've had a lot of registrations for that one already. So I think with any of the classes, including that one, the classes are going to fill up quickly. So make sure and go to the website, register, www.coreyhyatt.org, or come in and see us, give us a call. But I anticipate classes this fall are going to fill up quite quickly. Another one that we have quite a few registrations for is Autism 101. It's for the family caretaker and community training. Some of the resources for the autism community there lack a little bit here in Corey, and I'm so happy to be able to bring this class to Corey so that people can be educated and maybe ask their questions that they may have that they can't find the answers to regarding their loved ones. So that we've got quite a few registrations already for that one, and that one's free. It's a free course. So that, I think I'm happy to be able to make it free too. So
yeah, that's exciting. Who's putting that course on?
It's Tish Bartlett, and she is with I don't remember the exact organization, but the Autistic Center. She's put on a few different presentations around Erie, and there's been great feedback about these presentations. So I'm so happy to be able to bring that to Corey.
You've also got, I'm excited about all the series classes you have. Like the other ones that are getting more popular too are the comparing and contrasting the world's major religions. And we also have that homeowners one that's coming up.
That's the one I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Kathy stayed to talk about homeowners.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'm a new homeowner and single, so I saw that and I'm like, oh, I totally need every single week of that series.
So this one really is intriguing to me. I love the idea of this course, and it is a course. There are 9 parts to it, 9 classes to it. You can register for all of the classes, which is $135. Again, these are 2-hour classes, so you're definitely getting the value. Or you can register for the individual classes. But the Master Homeowner class is really geared towards new homeowners or people who are chronic DIYers. But these are classes that will delve into the many aspects of being a homeowner or a new homeowner, such as homeowner electric basics, so electrical basics, which I moved to Corey a couple of years ago, and we had some electrical issues, and some of them were an easy fix that maybe I could have researched and done, but I still would have been very, very, very cautious about it. But then it tells you, who to contact, what's the appropriate time to contact someone about an issue. There's also a basic household plumbing class, energy efficiency, home fire and safety prevention. The first one is homeowner's toolbox. So I think this is a great class to start the whole course off as far as what should you have in your home to repair basic issues that you would have. I mean, it's literally the homeowner's toolbox. I know that signing paperwork sometimes makes me very nervous. So there's a whole class on and insurance issues, and I think it's always kind of scary if you have to switch to a different homeowner's insurance, and reading that fine print and knowing what your coverage is. I think that class, if this was around when I bought my house here, I would have absolutely taken all of the classes.
Absolutely. These classes are so important. A lot of people, they've maybe rented for 10 years. They've never owned a home. So when something went wrong at that house or apartment, they just called the landlord. Hey, this plug isn't working. So these classes are so important. I can tell you, just recently I had one of the GFCIs, which is probably something you'll learn in the electrical basics class, stopped working in my basement. Now you could call an electrician and have them come put that in. So it's like a $20 part, and they're going to be there for 20 minutes, but they're going to bill you for an extensive amount of time and for a lot of money for something that you could basically do. And that's why I think that these classes are important.
Well, and you're absolutely right, Matt. And a big part of the Master Homeowner classes, and Kathy, I want to make sure that is that you're going to be given a real life experience. There will be basically models of an electrical unit or let's say a toilet and a sink setup, a big model so that you can tactilely look at an issue and remedy it as well. So
cool.
Big demonstrations that other organizations are building for us that will come in, specifically like the plumbing. There's going to be an entire plumbing setup so that you can see how to fix a particular issue. It's not just standing up and talking. There's real hands-on experience that goes with the Master Homeowner classes. And I do want to absolutely mention that this class wouldn't be possible without the Erie County Land Bank and Impact Quarry. They are the ones that kind of spearheaded the class and had reached out to the high ed to partner with. So it wouldn't be possible without them. And I know that all organizations have been working really diligently to make sure those models are being built, and we have qualified instructors. This would have been so nice to have as a new homeowner.
See, I'm learning something new. I didn't know they'd have models. That's cool, because
that is
that you actually get to see the hands-on instead of like just a picture in a book. I mean, everybody can kind of get out like, you have the books, but to actually have a model there, that's really cool. That's nice to know.
Well, and it's I don't know if you learn like this, but I'm definitely like you have to show me how to do it hands-on type of experience, not just read and hope that I can apply it when I get home, but there will be a hands-on experience with the classes. So
that's awesome.
I can't say how excited I am about this class. It's going to be really, really beneficial.
It is beneficial, and you just think of the idea, like if you had a water issue, there was water running, you don't want water damage. You could ask a lot of people, how do you shut off the water in your house? And there would be people that have no clue how to get that shut off.
Including me.
I know. When I first moved into my trailer, they actually didn't have a major water shut off, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, where do I shut off the main water? And they have like these, they call it the manhole covers for the trailer park, or the city water, where you actually have to get this tool. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to get a shut off because I can't be calling somebody to get this tool and open the manhole cover to shut off the water. So that was like one of the first things I did. I had to get a major shut off because I didn't know how to shut off the water. So yeah, learning all those things, it's very important.
Definitely. So very excited for that class. There's a couple other classes I wanted to kind of highlight. We have time.
Sure.
We're offering a self-defense and self-awareness class. So I don't know if anybody has taken a self-defense or self-awareness class in the past. I have many years ago, and we're having a wonderful company called You Matter LLC come in and offer this self-defense and self-awareness class right here at the HUD. I think that it's a class that everyone can benefit from. So that's another exciting one that will be coming. And not to forget our creative and arts classes. We're having a paint and sip class, a fall landscape in October. So that gets everybody ready for fall. So you can bring your snacks and something to drink and just have a good time. And we're also going to be having a basket making class, which I've never made a basket before, but now I'm intrigued. And then we're having an intro to improv class. So I've always wanted to do improv, and I didn't want to have to travel a long distance to do it. So I wanted to bring improv to Corey, and that one will be happening in September. So it's coming up pretty soon. So people will want to get enrolled for the intro to improv class on September 5th.
There's just so much here, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. And then the beekeeper one is interesting too. So you want to be a beekeeper? Lots of fun classes coming up.
Definitely. And like I said, we're not forgetting our trader professionals, our businesses and manufacturers. We're offering many different upskilling and reskilling classes that are available. Also for our community that is maybe looking for a job change or looking for a career in general. PA Career Link is offering some fantastic free workshops, usually every single month, such as we're having a budgeting workshop. We just held one recently during the day, and it was so popular that we worked with CareerLink to be able to offer an evening one for those folks who are that have working hours. But they offered just some fantastic workshops, including an AI workshop, which I know that's it's a fairly new technology, but how awesome is it to have a workshop that will show job seekers, or for a switch, how to use AI to create a resume and to create a cover letter. I think that they're just fantastic, and they're free here at the high end.
Yeah, that one interests me quite a bit, just simply because, and I always harp on these things, and if Brad was still on the call, he would probably hate that I say it, but a lot of companies have the applicant tracking systems, and it's just a system that they use to try to pick out keywords, and it's very difficult for potential employees to figure out and crack that code. I would think that the AI, if you gave them the right parameters, would be able to pick out those keywords and everything and get you to the top of the pile.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely a resource for job seekers to tap into, and I'm still familiarizing myself with AI, so I can imagine that having to actually use it as an application for building a resume, that might be a little bit daunting, but hopefully the workshop will kind of smooth everything out and give someone a leg up when they're applying for jobs. So and again, it's completely free through PA CareerLink.
That's fantastic. So this is Kathy, and I have a question for both of you lovely ladies. I mean, I'm hearing all of these awesome things. I'm taking notes on the ones besides the Master Homeowner class series to go down and attend. There's so much information. How long does it take you, ladies, to actually plan out what you're going to do for the fall and the spring and the summer and put it all together? I mean, it's got to be so much work. And, I applaud you ladies for doing and, finding these classes that sound absolutely awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. Yes, it's definitely, I don't want to say tough, but it can be a long process. And, I kind of thought maybe summer would be a little bit calm, but really planning for fall started early in spring. Just like now, I already have my idea list going for our next spring semester, but I started planning for fall as early as February and starting the conversations with instructors and making contacts and networking with folks to find qualified instructors for classes. I'm always listening to the community input as far as, like the American Sign Language class. We had a few inquiries about it, and so you have to do kind of a deep dive to find instructors and working with their schedules and making sure that times and dates work for our community as far as a general scope, and for the instructors. Classes like the Master Homeowner class, when we're working with Erie, the high ed's working with Erie County Land Bank and Impact Corey, that's a bit of an undertaking. So it's a lot of cooperation. Some classes do just come together, and that's always fantastic. But it can be a big undertaking, and I know I gave Steph a lot of work to do.
Once hers ends, then mine starts. Yeah.
I know that.
Right, and once go ahead, Matt.
I know that one of the difficult parts of it is that, you can have a class that a lot of people are clamoring for. You go find the instructor, but we have to walk a fine line, for what we can charge. There's a price point down at the Corey High Ed and Corey in general that if you go over that, nobody's going to come to the class. And that's got to be one of the more difficult parts of the job.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And sometimes there's a little bit of negotiating, and we've been so fortunate that our instructors are very understanding that the Corey High Ed is a nonprofit, and there is kind of a quote unquote sweet point as far as price, and we want to make sure that we are in a way listening to our community and being able to offer classes at an affordable price. So there's definitely some negotiating that goes on with our cost points with our instructors and such. And like I said, we've been very fortunate that they're able to offer their services to the high ed and to the community at an affordable price.
So this was the fastest hour in radio. It went by pretty quick. Kara Dahl's on the call right now, talking a little bit about what the Corey High Ed has to offer for this upcoming fall term. Is there anything else in the last couple minutes of our show that you want to point out? Maybe give the people an idea of how to sign up for any of these classes that we have?
Absolutely. So sign up for any of the classes coming up for fall 2024. You can do that at the website, which is www.coreyhighed.org. You can give us a call here at the High Ed at 814-664-9405, or stop in and see us. We're happy to go through the catalog with you. It's catalog's available online, and then soon we'll have some paper copies available as well for folks to take home and pick out every class they want to take and sign up.
Thank you,
the last couple of classes.
What we gotta we gotta get to the dad joke, and Kathy has that today. Are you gonna do that?
Oh, I can do that.
All right.
Sure. So here's the dad joke of the day, brought to you by ETI. So my boss came up to me and said, "You know what? You really need to dress for the job you want, not the job you have." So the next day I walked in as Wonder Woman. But
You are a Wonder Woman, Kathy. Stay tuned for Economic Pulse with Laith and Tina, and we will see you next week.